Hello and welcome to the Best and Worst Pictures podcast. I'm your host, Jake, and with me, as always, my good co-host,
Ian.
And joining us, as usual, is my other wonderful, equally as good co-host, Mud. How you doing?
Joke one.
What is this show, you might ask? Well, every so often we sit down and watch a Best Picture winner, and we decide if it's one of the best or worst pictures as compared to the other winners. This week, we're discussing the 41st Best Picture winner ever, which is, of course, none other than the hit classic 1968's Oliver! And to start us off, Mud has collected some fun facts about the film, which Ian and I have not heard ahead of time. So, Mud, take it away.
Mud, I'm just going to say before you start the fun facts, I miss doing the fun facts. They're so much fun.
They are fun. So Oliver! Was released on September 26th, 1968, with a runtime of 153 minutes. The director is Carol Reed, known for other films including Odd Man Out, The Fallen Idol, and The Third Man, all of which won the BAFTA for Best British Film back to back to back between the years of 1947 and 1949.
I was like, why have I never heard of these British films?
He was also, for a fun fact, the original director intended for the 1962 film Mutiny on the Bounty with Marlon Brando. He left due to clashing with Marlon Brando.
I'm sorry, this man's name is Carol?
Carol Reed, yes. So reception-wise, we're looking at a 7.4 out of 10 IMDb, 89% Rotten Tomato critics,
Pretty good.
81% Rotten Tomato audience,
Solid.
74 Metacritic, 6.8 Metacritic audience, and the logline on Rotten Tomatoes reads, Oliver! Transforms Charles Dickens's McCracking novel into a jaunty musical Victorian fairy tale buoyed by Ron Moody's charming star turn and Anna White's rapturous choreography. Our first actor is Mark Lester. His other roles include nothing else because he retired from acting in 1977, was a child actor in this. For a fun fact, he was a close personal friend of the singer Michael Jackson, and on several occasions has claimed to be a sperm donor for the singer. He has also stated that the singer's he is the biological father of Jackson's daughter, Paris.
Okay. That's a weird fun. I don't know if that one's as fun as it is strange. That's a weird claim.
Fun might be in quotation marks there. Our second actor is Oliver Reed. His last role was in the posthumous release of Gladiator.
Oliver!
And before you say anything, Ian, yes, he and Carol Reed are related. Carol is Oliver's uncle.
Cool.
Yep.
Nepotism.
We'll talk about that. Finally, we have Hugh Griffith, who might be a familiar name to you boys. He was in Ben-Hur, Mutiny on the Bounty, 1962, Tom Jones,
Yep.
and Wuthering Heights, the 1974 version.
Yeah, he's
not
the one guy with the big
1939.
eyebrows.
Yep. I did not write down any fun facts about him.
We've talked about him plenty of times. I've talked about Hugh Griffith at least twice.
So here are some fun production facts. A meticulous craftsman, Carol Reed often insisted on doing between 50 and 60 takes for some individual scenes. This resulted in things like the Consider Yourself musical number taking 3 weeks to film. There were also 6 months of rehearsal before anything was hired. Ian, circling back to something you said earlier, Oliver Reed actually wasn't a nepotist hire. In fact, John Wolfe, a producer on the film, was completely unaware of the family relation between the two of them when he suggested casting Reed to Reed.
That's really funny that I went, oh, nepotism.
Yeah.
No, we have a fun fact, but it wasn't.
So yeah, John
Cool.
Wolfe was like, you should hire this Oliver Reed guy, and Carol Reed was like, that's my nephew.
My nephew.
There is an overture, which, if discounted, drops the runtime down to 145 minutes. So it's an 8-minute overture. Yep.
Bruh.
So some Academy Awards show facts. This was the first Academy Award since the 11th to not have a host, which makes it better automatically.
Yes.
That's true.
Oliver! Is the only film to ever win Best Picture and be rated G.
Ha! That's funny.
Yeah,
That's wild.
It's a family film.
Crazy.
With 11 nominations and 5 wins, Oliver! Was the most nominated and biggest winner of the night.
Makes sense.
Katharine Hepburn and Barbra Streisand tied for Best Actress. Hepburn also became the third performer ever to win a Best Acting award 2 years in a row.
That's cool.
Yep. Young Americans was announced as the documentary feature winner, but on May 7th, 1969, the film was disqualified when it was discovered that it had premiered in October 1967, thus making it ineligible for the 1968 awards.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but then we get fucking movies like 1917 that released for 2 seconds on December 13th, 2020. Yep. I hate it. Journey into Self, the first runner-up, was awarded the Oscar the following day. Taking home the award for Best Special Visual Effects, as it was known at the time, this would mark the only time in his life that Stanley Kubrick would win an Oscar.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Insane
Wild.
to think about.
Yep. Sidney Poitier presented the Academy Award for Best Picture this year. And this one blew my mind. There was a major controversy at this award show after the Tonight Show host Johnny Carson and his guest Buddy Hackett did a sketch on their show ahead of the Oscars where they announced that Oliver! Would win Best Picture and Jack Albertson would win Best Supporting Actor. When these announcements came true, for context, this sketch was aired 3 hours before the ceremony.
Oh.
People flipped out. Allegedly, this true prediction led to several people at Price Waterhouse, a company which was involved, to be fired.
Ooh.
Though it was later confirmed by Carson that he had simply taken a shot in the dark and gotten lucky.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Interesting.
nuts.
Yeah, no, he was just making a joke. Before we move on to awards nominated, I'll also add some other major films that came out this year.
Mm-hmm.
Planet of the Apes.
Yep.
2001, A Space Odyssey.
Oh my God.
Oh.
Romeo and Juliet. The Producers. Night of the Living Dead. Bullitt. Rosemary's Baby. Once Upon a Time in the West. The Wrecking Crew. And The Thomas Crown Affair.
A couple of those films are the greatest of all time.
Yeah. Planet of the Apes is right there.
Yeah, producers.
Yeah.
Me.
You guys
Love
really like the
producers.
producers.
So, moving on to awards nominated, but not won. Oswald Morris was nominated for Best Cinematography, no longer separated by color this year,
Hey.
but lost to Pasquiliano DeSantis for Romeo and Juliet. Returning face Phyllis Dalton, who won Best Costume Design last episode for Dr. Zhivago, was nominated for Best Costume Design, but lost to Danila Donati for Romeo and Juliet. Ralph Kemplin was nominated for Best Film Editing, but he lost to Frank P. Keller for Bullitt. Varen Harris was nominated for Best Screenplay based on material from another medium, but lost to James Goldman for his adaptation of his play, The Lion in Winter. Jack Wilde, who was 16 years old at the time, was nominated for Best Supporting Actor, but he lost to Jack Albertson for his role in The Subject Was Roses as John Clear. Other fellow nominees include Seymour Cassel for Faces, Daniel Masty for Star! And Gene Wilder for The Producers.
Nice.
Ron Moody was nominated for Best Actor, but controversially lost to Cliff Robertson for his performance as Charlie Gordon in the film Charlie, a performance, it should be noted, which received mixed reception.
Ooh.
Other people nominated include Alan Arkin, The Heart is a Lonely Hunter, Alan Bates, The Fixer, and Peter O'Toole, The Lion in Winter. Moving on to Awards 1, Art Direction, won by John Box and Terrence Marshall for set direction, and Vernon Dixon and Ken Mugliston. Mugliston for best.
Our channel was Mudliston for a few months when you were in Florida.
That's true. Terrence Marsh actually won the year before for Dr. Zhivago. He would later in life do set decoration for Green Mile, Shawshank Redemption, and of course, Rush Hour 2.
All right. 2 of those films are fantastic.
The Shepperton Studio Sound Department took home Best Sound, which released this film. Johnny Green won Best Scoring of a Musical Picture, Original or Adaptation. The award is known today as Best Original Score.
Yeah.
What a fucking long, drawn-out title.
Ona White was presented like a special award for Outstanding Choreography for Oliver. Although, according to Wikipedia, it says Mark Lester presented her this award. It's also been said that Ziahan Carroll presented her this award. So,
Okay.
Unclear. Carol Reed won Best Director. He beat Gillo Pontecavoro for The Battle of Algiers, Anthony Harvey for The Lion in Winter, Franco Zeffirelli for Romeo and Juliet, and Stanley Kubrick for 2001: A Space Odyssey. And finally, it won Best Picture, beating Funny Girl, Rachel, The Lion in Winter, and Romeo and Juliet.
I got some words for that. 2001: A Space Odyssey came out this year. The Producers came out this year, and Planet of the Apes came out this year.
None of those were nominated.
Yep, all better films in every nomination.
And finally, our Mary Pickford fact.
Woo!
Later in life, the girl with the curls caused a big controversy by cutting her hair. She received death threats from fans who felt personally betrayed when she cut her hair
Whoa,
short later in life.
Cut your hair,
Wow.
and somebody sends you a death threat, I'm moving.
That's tough.
Yep.
Wow. How do we feel about Oliver exclamation point?
I'm mixed.
I'm
because
actually excited.
I like the book quite a little bit. I don't love it, but the thing about this year is a lot of great films came out this year and just didn't get nominated for Best Picture.
I'm sure the G-rated Charles Dickens Oliver exclamation point is going to be better than 2001 Planet of the Apes. all
And The
these wonderful
Producers,
Producers. Yeah, I'm sure it's going to top all those.
That's tough because like Romeo and Juliet came out this year. That one has the controversy now. Fun
Yeah.
fact, by the way, we were looking at that Romeo and Juliet film less than 20 days ago, or like 20-something days ago. A lawsuit appeared for the main actresses because they were filmed nude without their permission.
Weren't they also like underage?
Yep.
I love Hollywood.
It's been literally January 2023, a lawsuit.
So we just watched Oliver! How do we feel? Wow, really?
Fine. I don't feel any particular way.
I liked it.
Okay.
Listen, all I can say is we're reviewing the hit film. We're reviewing this situation. That song might have been the best song in the movie.
No. Well, it's the second best song. I'll agree with you there.
That's
But
understandable.
The best song is "Food Glorious Food."
We'll save the best song conversation for the end.
Well, how do we want to
The
start
best
this then?
song versation, if you will.
Yes. If
All right.
I will. In
I
fact,
guess
will.
we have mostly positive things.
I think so.
I'm going to start off with a big positive and a big negative. The music was actually pretty good. There's only one song in here that I don't quite like, and it's towards the beginning of the movie. Everything's either fine, decent, or really solid. The movie's not really about Oliver.
I actually agree with you.
He's the least interesting part, and that's like Fagin is much more interesting. Bill is much more interesting. Nancy, like that trio is the power trio of the movie. And Oliver is just like a MacGuffin.
That's hilarious.
I will also build on that. Oliver's quote-unquote story in the film restarts several times.
Yeah.
So he is sold to the coffin people, and then he runs away, and then he meets Dodger, and then he gets arrested, and then he starts lodging with that old man.
Yeah.
There's 5 separate restarts to his story.
Bud, you said that this was based on
A book.
a serial where it came out incrementally.
Yeah, so like this is like one of those old 1800s books where they would release like
Yeah.
it in waves.
I think a byproduct of that is that when you translate it into a musical or a movie where it's like one big story, is that it feels like a disjointed collection of scenes.
I mentioned that to you while we were watching.
Yeah.
I said every couple chapters, they got to reset it so that people can read it because it was serialized between 1837 and 1839.
Yeah, I think that is to the movie's detriment.
And then it was published into one actual book in 1838.
Yep.
Right in the middle.
It even has a subtitle, which is The Parish Boy's Progress.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
But what progress was made here?
Well, he goes from being a poor orphan to living with someone.
It just doesn't show any of it. It in between most of that is just the more interesting parts that I cared a lot about more.
Hey, Ian, sorry. I'm going to derail this conversation immediately. You know how you kept calling Fagin Alec Guinness?
Yeah.
In the 1948 film, Alec Guinness was Fagin.
He looked like Alec Guinness. It just looked like it.
Sorry, I had to say that.
Yeah, he looks like Alec Guinness, like just genuinely. And you know what? He's the best character, the most interesting, the most dynamic. You don't know if he's going to... That's why he's reviewing the situation.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks about it twice. Because he's like, oh man, things might be going haywire. Maybe I should turn a new leaf. And he's like,
Yeah, I
but
think
the money though.
reviewing the situation is funny. It's a good song to listen to,
very
and
good song.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's the only other one that I was all up on besides the opening song, which is the best song and
The
probably
second
best
the
part.
second song also was really, really good.
Can I also add, Oliver Reed was Bill Sykes.
Yeah.
Definitely not a Nepo hire. He crushed
Yeah, he was really
it.
fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely fucking obliterated.
Fagin, Bill, and Nancy are all incredible.
Yeah.
This film is very... I don't want to say, like... How do I put this? I'm amazed this is a G-rated film.
It shouldn't be. We watched Bill kill Nancy. Like,
well, this
flat
is
out.
the 60s. This is back when the next thing above G was probably just R. Like, there was very binary ideas.
You're very right.
That's fair.
It's either for
just,
kids or not for
It's
kids.
just not.
It's
That's
just-
the
this
problem.
is not a kid's
This
film.
is about children robbing people in the streets
no, it's
and
kinda
like
like-
death. And
I'm going to make a very weird comparison, but to an extent, it kind of reminds me of Mulan, where the first half of the film is like musical numbers and like, haha, funny dragon, and then the second half is just like, oh, they burned
War.
a town down. This is war.
Yeah.
This is the exact same thing where like the first half's like, oh, they're going to pickpocket people, and then we watch Nancy get beaten to death in the streets of London,
by
and it's
with
like,
a crowbar.
with a crowbar, and you're just like, oh,
Oh.
this is a very different film.
Yeah.
This film took a turn.
Yeah, this movie...
That's the thing, because the highs are really high, but this one's like what 2.5 hours long.
It's very long.
Damn,
It's too
bro.
long.
It
It's
feels
too
like you
long.
could cut an hour.
Man, this movie drags. I'll
Yeah.
be transparent. I've been pretty quiet so far, but I did not like this movie. I want to keep positive before I just unload because I have so many notes.
No, you know what?
Go for it. You
for
pop
a
off.
For a movie, Jake, before you go, for a movie that I'm mostly positive on, more than half of it's negative. Half of it's just space.
It's just time-wasting junk. Like, for example, the opening. I'm generally not a fan of huge time-wasting overtures, but then after that point, the opening is awesome. It never gets that awesome again.
Yeah.
Never once. The whole 2.5 hours after the first, 10 minutes is just so meager in comparison. And very few moments of that did I really enjoy. Like, for example, the other song, the Reviewing the Situation, is a great song. I don't mind the second song, but I'm not super
The second
crazy
one,
on it.
I like that one quite a bit.
This is not adapted for a film. This is somebody filming a fucking musical. All the performances are showy and staged. None of the fights have any weight to them. Everybody moves like they're a cartoon character. I don't hate musicals based on movies, like Chicago is awesome, or vice versa, rather. But they adapted Chicago into a movie. That's why Chicago's awesome. You have all of the best parts of that musical carried over but in a cinematic context. There's no cinematic context here. It's people doing the same bullshit that you'd see on stage. And maybe that works for the stage, but it does not work for here. I hate it.
Can I ask, just because I'm a little confused, what fights are you talking about? There aren't a lot of
the
combat.
brawls, every physical contact looked like crap. Like, none of it actually
Yeah, there
sold.
were a couple punches, like very stage punch.
Yeah. All in all, there's 5, 6 fights, which doesn't. This sounds like much, but it's not that much. It's a 2.5 hour movie, right?
I can't remember any fights.
There's little skirmishes. It's not really big fights, but there's
How about the scene where Oliver whooped that guy's ass in the beginning, which made no sense because he's 3 times taller than him. I'm not too hot on it. A lot of the acting has that old movie problem where everybody sounds like they're battle rapping each other. Notable exceptions. Fagin in the non-song sequences is really great.
he is phenomenal.
I love that scene where he's getting told up by, who's the other guy with the sideburns?
Bill.
Bill is just laying it on him like, if you do this, if he says one word. That scene is awesome. I kind of wish literally any other scene was that powerful, but none were.
Yeah.
And I do like Oliver himself. I think as far as child
Yeah, he
acting
doesn't do
goes,
bad.
not bad at all.
I like Dodger.
Dodger's not bad, yeah.
I like
say
Dodger.
that.
I like
I
his
mean, they're basically
character,
the only
yeah.
kids in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
The other ones are just kind of the
There.
ensemble.
90% of the cast is junk. I hate it.
It's a lot of fluff. It's very
Yeah.
I disagree with you on some parts, but I do agree. The songs, some of them really don't progress the story. They're not bad, but they don't.
Yeah, the songs
push
do
forward.
not further the story. Most of them are the same sentiment repeated over and over. And I get it. Repetition is important in music.
Even
But
worse, some of them have really big breaks for dance numbers or just
Sure.
music.
Some of them are just, I'm getting married in the morning syndrome.
I
Like,
think
I
that
get it.
start of the second half of the film after the intermission is
Yeah.
the worst one because it's just a bunch of people being like, I have stuff for sale.
Yes, there's
Yeah.
so much of that.
And it's not even like Oliver exploring his new situation. He's just standing on the balcony watching people.
Yeah.
So
Doesn't
much of
add
that.
anything to the film.
No, it's kind of rough to get through. That's when he gets introduced to London, and yeah, we're getting introduced to what London's like, but it's like a 15-minute introduction. We kind of know what London in this time period was like. We've seen everything, and we've seen any other film.
There's so
we
much-
know history.
There's so much recursive information, and it's all sung a lot over and over.
There isn't enough dialogue. There is.
I
there-
wish
I wish there was more.
I really wish I wrote down an example, but I really feel like some of the songs are copying the exact same themes and points of the other songs.
No, I think that's the point though. Is that what they're making the point is Oliver progresses his way through different classes of people and they're all singing about the same thing. They want food and they want money. Now, I will say there's no real final point to that,
Yep.
but I like the fact that at the end of the day, everyone in this film's on that grind to an extent. I think it failed to have a final scene that makes a point about that. Where I'm gonna pitch this. Maybe Oliver's uncle or whoever that dude was buys the orphanage because he seems to have a vested interest in it because he tells off Mr. Bumble or whatever his name was,
It was Bumble.
which was also a weird scene.
Yeah.
Because that also went nowhere at the end. I thought those people weren't going to be in the rest of the film, and then they were in one more moment.
Can I say it means nothing that he's related to this guy because we
I
don't get
hate
anything with
that.
that guy.
I hate that he's related to that guy. What are the fucking odds that
It
the
doesn't
dude
matter
that
about
Dodger? No, it does
Yeah.
matter. In all of London, the dude that Dodger robbed, that Oliver got caught for, is his fucking uncle.
Listen,
Fuck off.
It's a small world. I get it. That's a different.
It's not a small world. There's a scene where Oliver's going to London, and there's a brick on the side of the road that says London 42 miles with an arrow. You're telling me that his mom traveled 42 miles to a fucking orphanage to have this boy and die, and then he went all the way back?
Listen, I'm just saying. Sometimes it's a small world. suspension of disbelief in a better film is a lot easier. It feels very convenient, and it doesn't fucking go anywhere.
It doesn't, because there's no scene where Oliver finds this information out.
Yep.
Because the movie ends with a silent scene of Oliver going back
and
to
hugging the
living-
maid, not even the guy.
Hugging the maid. I said when the movie initially was ending, I was like, it'd be dumb if it ended with Fagin and Dodger leaving.
Which
but in
kind of
retrospect, that would be a stronger ending.
It would
Yeah,
be.
because those are characters I'm invested in.
It's funny. I told you guys off air before we hit record, but I had the note typed. I like how it ends with Fagin and him dancing away to a song in the sunset. Then it didn't end, and I had to delete that note.
And it ends. It ends with nothing. It ends with Oliver in a carriage getting back to the rich person's house. No dialogue.
no doubt, it's like useless.
The movie the movie feels like a nothing burger with full of empty calories.
Yeah. I
It
will
really
say,
does.
because I'm not fully negative. The
No, I like it.
I
The
like the
choreography's
choreography
great.
a
I
lot.
think I can maybe summarize our feelings. This movie is less than some of its parts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There are a lot of really cool things that happen, a lot of good acting, a lot of good choreography. I think the set decoration in this film is beautiful.
Really, really good.
I
It's
think the costume design is amazing. But the story's just kind of meh.
And the book
It's a
is
kid's book. You
it's,
adapting it to a 2.5 hour.
it's better.
You could at least write an ending.
The book's better.
The only kids book that would make an awesome translation are things like The Hobbit, where there's plenty of lore there you can pull from.
Yeah.
I feel like the freaking Charles Dickens Oliver twist is just not enough substance.
I think this could have been a perfectly fine film. You just needed to shave some time off.
Yeah, it shouldn't be 2.5 hours. It could be like 145.
140, 150, and give it a fucking ending.
Yeah, something
Yeah.
like that would make it a lot
Not
stronger.
this.
Not this. Make it relevant, the fact that this man is Oliver's uncle. Make it relevant that he calls Bumble all the way down 50 fucking miles from wherever that orphanage was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know?
But he didn't even call Bumble. Bumble's wife went there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Also,
Never explained.
people fucking hate Oliver at the beginning of the film, and it's kind of funny because they're like, "You're an orphan. How dare you be an orphan?" Like I think Bumble says the mom had the audacity to go all the way to their house, have the kid, took one look at him, and died.
It's fucked up.
That's hilarious.
That's beyond fucked up.
Listen, there are some good scenes in this movie. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
The Bill and Fagin scene where they were having that argument and it was building the tension. Nancy's like, I'm not doing it. And he's like, yeah, if he said something, I'm going to kill him and then kill you. So shut the fuck up.
And I like how long that scene went on. too.
Yes, because it's tense.
Like, that could have been a 30-second thing. They drew that shit out.
Good.
And I think that was for the better.
And they drew it in a well way.
Yeah.
and
There are
you
scenes.
see their characters.
There are scenes that are drawn out in important ways in this. The song towards the end where they're talking about what's making his nose so red. Oompa la. That
Nancy like stirs up a crowd.
she
in the bar
stirs
so
up
she
the
can
crowd
save
for the
Oliver.
dance, and it's long and it's drawn out, and it's to get Oliver out of there. You can't do that in a quick way, or else it feels rushed and forced and stupid. The fact that it took up the time, started getting louder and louder and louder, more people joining in, distracted them because they were having that serious conversation, and they're like trying to get messages across better because it's getting louder and louder and louder. Then they notice he's gone, and it's like, that's good. That's cinema. That makes sense. That is a good scene that is long for a reason and makes sense.
Yeah.
And then there's 15 minutes of being introduced to London, England, and it's like, boo.
I like the first half better than the second half. I think it has
Yes.
more charm to it.
I think the first half is more coherent, but the second half was more better parts.
I agree. The second half has more interesting scenes, like with the scene we keep talking
Second
about
half
where
has
Fagin
stronger
talks to him.
acting sequences
Yeah,
too.
but on the whole, the second half is a lot more dreary. I wasn't really feeling it.
I think the story takes a turn that you just kind of it checks you out because at the halfway point of the film, Oliver basically gets adopted by like a rich gentleman who turns out to be his uncle, as we've mentioned.
Yeah, that's
And the second half of the film, Bill becomes like the main antagonist because he's like, we can't let him stay with that guy.
What if he says something?
What if he says something? My brother in Christ, Bill. Oliver didn't say anything when he was literally
In court.
in
Yeah.
court 10 seconds ago.
Mhm.
Let him be.
Yeah.
Cut your fucking losses.
Also, the court scene, I know we talked about, it is pretty funny. I agree with that.
Hilarious.
But, bro, the judge is giving his sentence. Somebody fucking in the jury panel stands up. I have something to say. Like, that's not how anything
No, it's
works.
even better. Is after that, the guy's like, this kid didn't do it. And the judge goes, well, I already sentenced him.
Wait, did I? I'm not even sure.
Fucking hilarious. Yeah, the judge is a drunk and he's like pouring himself a cup of wine under his desk.
I love Hugh.
The movie
It was
get-
a very funny
The movie
scene.
is a comedy, so it kind of gets away with it. But if this
Yeah.
were like a serious film, I'd be like, bro, are
Is
you
this
kidding me?
movie a comedy? He fucking
Yes.
murdered a lady.
It
Yes.
absolutely stopped being a comedy in the second half.
This is predominantly a comedy, I would say.
Bro, if this is a comedy, then I'm an Academy Award winner. This film was like goofy and funny for like 30 minutes, and then it turned into like stealing whorehouse, poor people, London
Yeah,
murder
but
party.
All of our
Oh.
exclamation point episodes be goofy as hell and then have one scene like this.
Yeah, like,
but, like I'd say even those like murder and all this kind of stuff, all those scenes
Hilarious.
were done in a predominantly campy way. Like some of them are more darker and like crazier, but like
He
most
beat
of them,
Nancy to death
With
with
a
a crowbar, and then looked at the blood on his hands
and then they showed
wondered
her twitching on the ground.
and thought and like reflected for what he'd done for a second.
Those-
That's not campy.
Those are notable exceptions. I will absolutely concede
It's
that.
the most notable exception.
Very notable, incredibly exclamation point.
I
exception.
remember when
He's
he.
kind of campy. He beat a woman to death.
I remember
with
when
a
he
crowbar.
broke into that house, but with camp though.
Look, most of it's campy.
Dude, no, it's campy as hell when Bill fucking slowly opens the letter slit and you just see his eyes and you're just like, Jesus Christ.
That shit's fucking Kubrick level of stare.
That
Like,
was
that was
terrifying.
scary.
The ending feels like
Bad.
Ian, I don't know if you got these vibes, but an old Universal monster movie
It
where the entire
does.
town gathers together in
They
an
had
angry mob.
they had torches.
I
Forks and
I
torches.
literally said, "Oh, just burn the windmill down with him in it."
Yep. Had I not watched all those movies, I probably wouldn't care about the trope. But that's the same thing as saying, had I not watched a superhero movie before Fan
Very
4 Stick,
tropey.
I wouldn't mind the big blue sky beam in the third act. I've seen it a billion times. It's a trope. It's a cliche at this point. I don't want to. I hate it. I hate
No,
everything
you're
about
not
it.
wrong. You're
And
not wrong.
It's funny because the movie Oliver does not call for a giant mob with pitchforks and torches in it.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Look at the story. None of it matters. Why does the town want to run everybody out of the town with pitchforks and
like,
torches?
I get that he killed a girl, but like,
the whole town's like,
just
let's
let
run
the
him out.
police handle it. There's already like 6 beat cops right there.
Thank you.
That's true.
Like it makes way more sense.
I'm just gonna say, going from this G-rated film to Midnight Cowboy next time is gonna be
yeah.
fucking nuts.
I can't wait. I know nothing about it. I don't want to know anything about it except the fun facts before we watch it. But
That's true.
yeah,
Yeah, honestly, I don't even have like a ranking for this film. It's just
I
there.
do.
It's a film.
it's a film. It's the number one. It's favorite film of all time.
Yeah. Okay.
It is the most film.
Yeah, I
It is,
have
in
a
fact, the most
couple more notes. I know it's incredibly early. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna wrap up what I think. For a long time, I only knew the song "Food Glorious Food" from Ice Age. I had to learn later in life that it came from somewhere else.
Yeah.
Oh, I can speak on something for a second. There's a lot more songs in this film that I recognize than I thought I would.
Yeah. A lot of scenes
Yeah,
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think this is one of those films that like inspired a lot of shit.
Oh, on
for, like-
topic, Mud.
Yeah.
Please, sir, I want some more is the line. I've only heard it says, please, sir, can I have some more? That's not the line. It's like a real Luke, I
It's,
am your
yeah,
father.
Luke, I'm your father.
Yeah.
Sort of deal.
No,
where
I am your
people just
father.
kind of
Yeah. I've never heard it said, please, sir, I want some more. Just that phrasing.
because please, sir, can I have some more? Like,
Yeah.
it's more quotable.
It's more quotable, and it's got the, can I have some more? I've heard
Yeah.
that voice and that tone said before
Yeah.
I've ever seen Oliver.
Yeah.
So,
But there's a lot of stuff in this film that I recognize that I didn't think I would recognize. And I think that just means like this film's been like homaged a lot, and I've seen a lot of the homages, and I didn't realize they were homages.
Yeah.
it's certainly iconic.
Yeah.
I don't want to take that away from it. But
Like I've heard of the character Artful Dodger. I had no idea what it was from.
I looked through the whole list of characters from the novel. I've only heard of Oliver Twist.
I will also say, huge negative. There was at least 2 separate trains in this film, and they didn't play that big of a role. I'm pretty pissed, especially
Oh my
because the
God.
trains were very colorful.
They were.
They were. They
bright
were like
red and
Thomas the
green.
Tank Engine color train.
Yep.
Like just very bright.
Very bright red. Yeah, candy colored. One of them was just straight up Emily.
Yeah, you said. It's such a mixed bag because the
It is.
scenes that are good are really good, and then there's just so much filler.
There
It
is
is.
an insane amount of filler.
Insane amounts.
It's just tough. It's tough to rank because I don't want to give it a negative because I did actually enjoy. I think especially with some of the musicals that we've watched where the songs haven't been very good and the movies haven't been very good, this at least has some script holding it up, and most of the songs are fine to great. There's not that many bad ones. You know?
I agree.
It's
do
it's
agree.
rough to rate.
It's hard because it's got great peaks, but those valleys. It's not that the valleys are deep; it's that the valleys are long.
Yup.
Holy shit! Especially towards the end.
And there's an overture and then a mid-credits intermission overture.
Oh, for the record, we watch them. We don't speed through them because that is how the film was originally presented.
Yep.
We don't just go, oh, intermission, we can skip ahead. No, we watch the intermission.
Well,
Yeah.
we
don't watch the intermission.
We
but
watch the overture, but we
we-
take a break at the intermission. That's what you're spiritually supposed to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We try to capture the essence as if we were watching this film in theaters
Yep.
the year it came out.
So yeah, aside from
we
intermissions,
sit in
which
the
are
dark and listen to
pauses,
the overture.
we sit in the dark for 10 minutes at the beginning and listen to the whole goddamn overture. I still hate it. I have the right to say I hate it because I watched it and I listened.
So it peaks several times, and you're like,
does.
oh, fine, it's still going.
Yeah.
It also starts with a bell, and we all just thought Taco Bell noise.
It's great when the crescendo leads to the crescendo, which leads to the
and
crescendo.
then it climaxes again,
And
and
again.
it just keeps climaxing.
Just like me in bed. All right, now go on.
It's just. All right, listen. I'm just
Listening.
gonna rank it.
Okay.
Alright, go for it.
Probably like a 5 or a 6. I
Okay.
don't think it's negative. I think the highs are too high for it to be negative. But I also don't know if it's positive because there is just too much nothing. Like I said, it's empty calories, it's beer. It's the freshman 15 of film.
Got him.
If I might, I think that it's not that there's empty calories. It's a lot of fat. It's a nice steak with a lot of fat, and like you got to trim most of it.
This
to
is
really
the
get to
freshman 15 of film. Like I gained 15 pounds of just ingesting nothing important. There's nothing important for like an hour of this 2.5 hours.
There's a real. I agree. I think also too much happens at the start that just isn't relevant.
Too much happens in the middle. It's not relevant too.
Yep.
I feel like the whole dude adopting him is barely relevant because it just doesn't go anywhere. You
Yeah.
check off gun, you show me the guy, and then told me it was Oliver's uncle, and then it ended, and I don't care.
Yeah.
And if he wasn't, nothing would change
Yep.
because he didn't take Oliver in because he's Oliver's uncle. He took him in out of the kindness of his heart.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm in a definitive 5. I can't give it a positive. I can't give it a negative.
Yep.
The
All
best
right.
one's Bridge on the Require. The worst one's GG.
Mud, why don't you go next?
Man, I'm a little more positive. There wasn't anything in here aside from the uncle thing that I like intrinsically was like that I don't like. You know what I mean? Like nothing like negative that like really dragged it for me. There's a lot of stuff where I'm like, I could have taken or leaving that. It's very long. There's a lot of stuff that just feels irrelevant. I think I'm gonna go with a 7. I don't hate it. I actually liked it. I think it is charming.
Yeah. It's a pretty positive 5. I just can't.
Yeah.
From
At the worst, I'll say it's inoffensive.
yeah. From like a watch perspective, I can't say based off of what it is that it's good or bad. It's a lot of limbo in here.
I'll say, if I had to pick my really long Best Picture winning musical feel-good comedy that turns very violent at the end, I'm picking The Sound of Music.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We whoops this one
I think
out of the
that's
water.
I think that's how the best way I can put it. This is store brand Sound of Music.
Yeah.
Kmart Sound of Music.
This is Kmart Sound
not
of
even
Music.
Walmart.
No, Chief. If Sound of Music is Legos, these are Mega Blocks. 3 out of 10. This is a horrible movie. It is
This
charming.
is-
I agree.
I think this is probably our most divided scores.
Potentially, yeah. I
We're
am
all
for
too
Best
apart
Picture.
from each other.
so
Yeah.
down on this movie. It's insane. I agree that it is charming and does have a little bit of heart. That's what's positive here. That and the choreography.
I think
and,
there are
you know,
some script moments that actually bring it up as well.
I
to be
just
quite
I
honest
have
with
no
you.
reason to rewatch more or less any part except the opening scene, which is just, you know, an iconic thing at this point. So
Yeah.
like other than that, it's predominantly horrible. There's no reason for anybody to watch it ever. So I'm all set with this.
Oh my God, Planet of the Apes came out this year.
It
Planet of the
did.
Apes should have won.
It did.
Sorry, guys.
0 off that alone.
I know that's my bias, but I'm me, and I'm allowed to say that.
I also slotted this in the giant best and worst pictures list that I've made personally. This is the 41st film. It is not in the bottom 10. It's the 11th. It's damn close.
Damn.
Yeah. Not too hot on it.
I
It's
can tell.
between Mrs. Miniver and My Fair Lady.
Yeah, I think mine's right next to Mrs. Miniver too.
Let's go!
Miniver
Mrs.
is like
Miniver.
7 spots ahead.
Miniver.
And it's Miniver.
Let me see. Where's my list?
Hey guys, wait. What's your best and worst ones?
Hold on.
Oh, okay. My best picture ever is The Bridge on River Kwai, and the worst one is Tom Jones.
Gentleman's Agreement and The Greatest Show on Earth, but I'm still missing like 8 of them.
Tom Jones.
Also,
so
mine
bad.
is below How Green Was My Valley, but above Wings.
Oh.
That's about right. It's one above Mrs. Miniver.
Ian, what's your best and worst?
I already said.
Oh,
Kwai. GG.
got you. All right, guys. We will catch you guys next time
For the only X-rated Best Picture winner,
The
right
only-
after the only G-rated Best Picture winner.
Yeah, you can't go
Which
wrong.
makes this Yu-Gi-Oh! GX.
Let's go. Generation X.